Hey, this is Awais with EminiPlayer.net, and what you're about to hear is a phone call that I had with one of my members who is essentially scalping off of the key support resistance zones and trading almost every zone for a 2 to 3 point reaction. So that means that the reward to risk on every trade that is taking is typically 1R. He's making how much he's risking, and sometimes he's risking even more to make those 2 or 3 points. Now, before I play the call, I just want to lay out that I personally don't trade this way, and it's not something that I teach. I think that most traders are going to have better success trading for reward to risk rather than accuracy. Now, the way that this particular trader is using the zones, he does have a lot of consistency, but his style of trading requires very high accuracy because the winners are about the same size as the losses, and some of the losses are many times the size of his average winning trade. Now, there are many different ways to make money in the markets, and the way that this trader is doing it is, of course, one particular way of making money. But I think that even though it sounds easy on the surface, from my own experience, I don't think it's quite that easy. Now, as you'll hear during the call, this trader has found a way to make it work for him. But in order to make that strategy work, it requires a certain kind of discipline where you have to be willing to take that quick 2 to 3 point win, and then you have to be okay with missing the rest of the move when the market continues to go in your favor if you had just held on to the trade. And that's not really that easy. It's not easy to get out of a winning trade for just 2 points and then see it go another 8 to 10 points without you. So it requires a particular kind of mindset and discipline, and that's something that I do bring up and discuss during our call. So again, it's not the way that I personally trade. It's not what I personally teach, but there was a lot of interest in hearing how this trader is using the EminiPlayer support and resistance zones and achieving some pretty decent consistency, making $1,000 to $2,000 a day, trading 4 to 5 contracts per trade on roughly a $40,000 account. So now with that disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into the call. Hey Charles, it's Awais.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. How are you?
Oh, good. Just driving. Been a long day. I'm a general contractor, and I also buy and sell equipment for big companies and stuff I work for. And
Mm-hmm.
I bought a bunch of equipment down about 3 hours from Knoxville, and we had to glue it down. And sort of a business and pleasure. We went down yesterday and hung out, and then went to Nashville and had a big went to a nice restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
listened to some live music, and then unloaded the trucks this morning and head back to Knoxville now. So
Gotcha. So, good time to chat?
yes, absolutely.
So, there was a lot of interest from other members on the EminiPlayer site in just kind of learning about how you use the site, getting a little bit of background on your trading, and talking about your results, discussing any insights or tips or tricks on how to best use the analysis.
Okay, good. Fire away.
All right. Well, I know that you were a member on EminiPlayer back, I think, in 2017, but then you took a break, and I think you recently signed up again about what 2 or 3 months ago? About 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I was paying attention more to and now I pay more attention to your zones and the NYC tick. It's just, I mean, basically everything I pay attention to. And I know there's so much more, but I'm just sort of boiled it down to that basic premise. So I made one trade today. At the end of the day, made $500. And the reason I did that is because we stayed out a little late last night. And I'm trying to learn. One of my only biggest things now that I'm trying to rein in a little bit is the mental side of it, because I notice, if I'm tired or if I've had a few, I might have had a few minutes too many drinks last night. I feel a little groggy in the morning. It's not a good time, so I just stayed away from it today. Even though it looked like a pretty good day, but I was tired, so I just stayed away from it until the end of the day. And I'm telling you, that tick just looked perfect, and I jumped on a trade at the end of the day and got in, got out, made 500, and I've extended my winning streak 16 days now, so that's good. Yesterday, and I'll tell you this, then you can ask me some more questions. So yesterday I was up 30, 32.50, 31.50. I made uh, 56.25 on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
Had a really good day on Tuesday, 2450 on Monday. So I've had a good $8,000 week so far. So I was up 3150 yesterday, and here's where I have to control myself because all my trades were winners, and I felt really really good yesterday. And then at the end of the day, sort of the end of the day, not the last hour, but it was probably 2 o'clock maybe, probably 2 o'clock. I took a short, and no, I'm sorry, I took a long, and at 51, somewhere around 50. Well, it went down against me. I ended up getting out at 39 or 40. So I went from 3,100 up to making $600 yesterday on one trade. Now, if I'd have stayed with it, it came back, but I've done that twice even at the 16-day winning streak here. I've done that twice where I had a bigger day and I let a little bit of it slip away on instead of just, my goal was 2,000. I was up 3,150. Why even make another trade? I mean, turn it off, get a fresh start tomorrow. I'm trying to do that.
And you're trading fairly modest size too, right? I mean, you're trading what, two contracts, four contracts max?
Well, after talking to you, I'm doing four. I've actually stepped up to five. I went back to five, and so I'm either doing 4 to 5 because I've got plenty of liquid. I've got 40 some thousand in
Mm-hmm.
this account. I transferred some over to Interactive Brokers because I was going to change, but I don't think I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've figured out this with this RT Trader, I'm using the charts, the RT Trader, the charts, and then I'm just trading through the gain capital on my phone. So I'm gonna probably just transfer that money back over. So anyway,
Got
uh,
it. Got it. So, tell me a little bit about your routine. So, let's say that in the morning, you're getting ready to trade. What's your routine like? Do you do any of your own prep work before the open, or do you just log on to the EminiPlayer site, get the zones, watch the trade plan video? So what does that look like for you?
9 o'clock, I pull out. Right around 9 o'clock, I pull up your site. I get the zones. I sort of look at the zones a little bit. I pull up your trade plan, get your analysis on the trade plan for the day, and I just pay attention to those zones. And watch, sort of look and see what the market did overnight. And then I don't usually make a trade the first 15 minutes unless there's just like an absolute slam dunk or what I feel like is going to be a slam dunk. I try to let the thing settle out for 15 minutes or so, um, and then if if the setup that I like, where it's near a zone one thing I did learn from the live trading room is how how the thing will hit a zone, pull back a little, then balance. Um, and I really pay attention to that balance anymore, and the balance in or around those zones along with the tick, and just sort of factor all that in. And a lot of it I feel like it sounds funny, but it sort of is like gut, not just gut, but I mean feel. What I mean, like I don't know if you play golf, but like
Mm-hmm.
around the greens you got to use feel. Sometimes it's just like with the zone and how the thing's acting and the tick. I feel like it's a chance that's 75% in my favor, so it's not like a chance. I just feel like when you're paying attention to, because your zones are incredible. I mean, I told a friend of mine, I said, you wouldn't believe how many times it hits that, and I mean, immediately goes the other way. I mean, it's just like it's just incredible. So at least I feel like that's a huge factor. Anyway, so that's how, and then so the rest of the day after once I get those zones, and I start trading in the morning, and I'm just try to wait on my spot. I get in, try to make a couple, 2 to 3 points, and get out. And hell, if I do that 4 or 5 times a day, that's $2,000 to 2,500. I had a really good day on Tuesday. I think I'm not sure if I was telling you when we talked, but the thing was moving. The setups were just perfect, so it was, and the market was moving quick enough to where even if I was trying to make 500, I would make 800. I mean, it was just going. So the thing I was going to tell you. So I was up to 3150 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That last trade I made, it was going up, and I could have cashed out for 500. And I hesitated for a second. I'm telling you, every time I get greedy or think I'm going to let it run a second, it bites me in the ass. So yesterday I could have been up 3650 and out of the market, but I waited just a second and went against me, and before I knew it, I was down, $2,000, 2,500 bucks.
Gotcha.
So I just got out and said, you know what, I'm gonna take the win and start again tomorrow. And that's sometimes I just have to do that, just reset.
So really, I mean, what you're doing then is pretty close to scalping off the zones. Like, the market comes into a zone and you're either going long at support or going short at resistance, and then you're taking
hmm
that kind of very high probability 3 or 4 point reaction off the zone as opposed to sitting in it for hours and kind of waiting for a bigger move off of it.
Exactly. Sometimes I'll make 3 trades on that. I mean, it'll go up to resistance. I'll sell. It'll bounce off of it. I'll make 500. He'll go back up, and I'll hit it again and make another. I mean, I can hit that 2 or 3 times sometimes. Make the 2 on 5 contracts. It's 2 points.
Right.
And it's so sometimes I'll just sit there and ding that thing. Boom, 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 and then just let it balance and see what happens. And the other thing I've noticed about your zones is what's incredible about it is if it busts through that zone by 3 or 4 ticks, it may come back through it, but it's going to go on. I mean, it's going to eventually come back and go through that zone. That's where I feel like the odds are really good. I'll wait on those deeper pullbacks then and sort of just start playing that. I feel like just knowing, or not actually knowing, but feeling like the overall direction. I guess you call it the bias. Whether it's, I think, and that's where those zones help me the most. And then I'm really paying attention to that tick. I don't know. There's something about it anymore where I've been paying attention to like today. I was the guy that worked with me. I said, look at this. It was making lower lows all day long. The tick would go down to minus 400, and then it looked like it was an uptrending. But overall, if you looked at the whole day's tick, and every time I see that at the end of the day, this thing will sell off a little bit, at least, and it did, man. I mean, 345, that thing dropped 8 points quick. And, so I felt like, and it was at the top of the zone. So it was at 70. I think I got in it. I sold at 70.
Right.
Went against me just a second, and then it dropped. And I mean, I got out at 68, made $500. That's one trade I made today, and then it went all the way down to 63. I was like, damn it.
Now, what about, on trend days? Even though trend days don't happen that often, when they happen, that's a time where you do not want to fade the zone.
So the trend days, man, I just, I still just get the 500. I mean, I'll jump in and get, maybe, I don't know if Tuesday was a trend day. I guess it was not a trend day, but it just seemed like one of those days where every one of my trades were set up and took off. I mean, like I said, I was trying to get, by the time I hit the button to make 500 or 600, it was 800. I mean, it was just like, incredible. So,
I think the benefit is that the zones are pretty powerful, and even on trend days, you'll typically get that 3 or 4 point reaction on first test of the zone, right? So it sounds like even on trend days, you're hitting the zones, getting that quick 3 or 4 point move, and by the time the market continues going higher, or in whatever direction a trend is, you've already taken profit and moved on to the next trade.
Exactly. And sometimes and that's where I feel like my discipline is changing a little bit, because used to I would be, so let's say I got in at 50 and it goes up to 53 and I get out and make, $750 or $600 or whatever the size my contract is. And I'm in at 50 and out at 53, and the thing keeps going to 58. Used to I would be, frustrated that I missed something. And I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like I didn't miss anything. I just made the trade exactly how I'm executing my plan. And if I have to get back in, 30 minutes from now at 58, it don't matter. That's my next setup. It don't matter what that's the thing. I think I used to get caught up in what the price is where I was at before. Now I don't even care. That's just another trade and another $500, is the way I'm looking at it.
Right.
Because it used to drive me crazy to think I would think I missed everything between 53 and 58. That's completely the wrong way to look at it, because it makes me less patient. So now.
Yeah, I know. I think that's an important insight that, it's not about what the price is right now. It's kind of about, the setup that you are trading. And you don't want to get stuck in, I bought at 50, so now 58 is too expensive, because it might be a completely different setup. And as long as the setup makes sense, who cares what you paid yesterday or what you paid this morning?
Exactly. I sort of quit watching overnight. I used to trade a little bit overnight, and I would think, man, if I get in right here, if it goes up, I don't even, you don't sleep as good. You're thinking, I've woke up in the middle of the night to check it sometimes. I'm like, now I'm not even worried about that. I just get up in the morning, check your trade plan, get my, stuff together. And, usually before lunch, I'm up my $2,000. And if it's, or more sometimes, like Tuesday was one of those days I was up, $3,500 by lunch. And I I was like, I didn't have anything else to do, so I said, hell, I'm trying to start tightening being a little bit more particular then, which is what I should have done yesterday. I should have just, I was a little distracted yesterday after I was up 31.50 and I took that trade. Two things: I should have either not traded or got out, took that quick 500, and I'd have been up 36.50 instead of $600. So,
Hmm.
but that's just another little file away lesson.
Yeah, I think listening a little bit more about how you trade the zones and the plan, I think the real discipline that you have is in the exits, in the sense that you're getting in and you're getting out before the market really even has a chance to really go that far against you.
Right.
So it's just kind of this quick hit type of execution that you're doing. Now, in terms of execution, are you waiting for the market to get to the zone and then you are actually hitting the market, or do you have a resting order at the zone and you're letting the market get there and you're getting in at a really good price?
That's exactly. Yeah, I'm watching it. And when if the zone, if the resistance starts at 70 to 72, I mean, depending on if it's the first test, and I'm ready at, I may even jump in at 69.5 just so I don't miss it. I don't mind to go. It goes against me a half a point or a point because I feel like I'm in the right. That's the other thing. I have to be a little patient. Sometimes some of these trades when I make 500, I'll be down. 2 minutes before that, I'll be down. So it may go against me a couple points, but I just knowing with your zones, I feel like most of the time I'm on the right. I'm right. Now it may have went against me just a little bit, but it's coming back. And then when it comes back, I get those 2 points and get the hell out. Wait on the next one.
Got it. But you're using resting orders, like you already have the order in the book and the market just goes up there and fills you?
Sometimes,
Mm,
but most of the time it's just I've got my finger on the button.
got it.
The way that one thing I like about that gain capital is I can have my sell order right there, and if it goes up a little further, I can tap my button twice and move up half a point, and then hit send, and it's in quick. Um, so I can scalp another half a point there. Then and then on the outside, I will go ahead. If I feel like if I'm just trying to make a couple points, I'll go ahead and put that. If I sell at 72, I'll go ahead and have that 70 sitting there. And when it's right there at it, and
Mm-hmm.
I can hit the button. Or if it looks real strong move, that's where sometimes I'll make the 750 or 1,000. Because I'll be like, I will give it just a second, and then go ahead and move it to 69 and get out. Make 750. So
Okay, so far, we've talked about you've had 16 winning days in a row. On average, you said you're making around 1 to 2 thousand a day, sometimes, 3, 4 thousand a day, mainly
hmm
trading, around 4 to 5 contracts per trade. Now, let's talk about the
right.
losing side. What about the bad days? Because one thing I remember from our last call was that you mentioned that you don't use hard stops, right?
No,
So you don't have a stop loss in the book. So how are you managing the downside?
because I've got my finger on the button. I mean, I'm watching it, and when just like yesterday, I had to make the decision to go ahead and take the $2,500 loss. I wasn't just. I mean, I'm watching it live. I don't leave. If I've got a trade, I don't look away. I mean, I don't take my eye off of it. So I'm watching that. The losing days. So 16, 17 days ago, my losing days. That's the time when I changed to the not worrying about what I missed. Because I was letting some of those run, and then it would go. I was trying to make 1,000 on a trade, and I would be up 700 looking for that next point, and then it goes against me. And I've
Hmm.
seen that happen so many times. I'm like, 500. It just hit me. If I make 500 4 times a day, that's $2,000. You know, regardless of what the market does after I'm out, who
Hmm.
cares? You know, and I think for me anyway, right now we'll see. I mean, hopefully I'm not jinxing myself by talking about it much,
All right. So on the downside, you're not using stops. So I'm assuming that the losing trades are bigger than the winning trades. Like I'm assuming that, like when you're taking a loss, it's not just 2 points. It's usually probably, 4 to 6 points, right?
right? You're exactly right. Yeah, just like yesterday.
Right. So essentially for what you're doing, in order for that to work and continue working, it's really important that the win rate is fairly high, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I've got to have 6 or 8. You know,
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways to make money in the market, right?
mm,
One of the ways is that your winners are larger than your losses. Now that's, what I prescribe, right? What I teach
right.
is, hey, make sure that your winning trades are larger than your losing trades. That way, you don't need a super high win rate to be consistently profitable, right? And that is, I feel, and from my experience and from teaching this method at this point to so many traders, that's more achievable for most people
Hmm.
because for you, you're able to determine, okay, I'm out now, right? Even if you don't have a stop, you know that when it goes 4 points, 5 points, like there's kind of a max loss that you have accounted for, and at
Right.
that point, you have the discipline to get out.
And I feel like, and here's something. The only difference I would add to that is when I'm using your zone. So let's like I said, let's go back to the resistance zone at 72 to 74.
Right.
If I'm in at 73, as soon as that thing goes to 75, 75 and a half, I'm going to take the 2.5 point loss and get out and just wait on the next setup because it's busted through the zone. So that's why I'll try to wait. Now on the first test, I'll be a little bit more aggressive. So like I said, I may get in at 69 and a half just because I don't want to miss that little initial bounce because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it'll bounce, half point before, and I don't
Right.
want to miss that. But if
Right.
it's tested or balanced before that, then I'll wait till near the back of the zone.
Right.
But I still feel like if it goes through there, then I'm out. I'm going to take that. So not every loss is, 4 or 5 points. Sometimes it'll be a 2, 3 point loss, and I just have to absorb it.
Got it. Got it. So you'd say most of your losses are around that 2 or 3 point area?
Right. The only ones that are bigger are the ones I just fall in love with, and I can't get it through my brain that I'm on the wrong side. And that's where I'm trying to just take the worst case, take the 750 loss and move on. I mean, that's
Right.
2 more trades, I'm back up 250.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I think one of the positives that I'm hearing is that, you're not focused on the outcome of one given trade, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's another thing that's very important, and where traders struggle is they get overly focused on the outcome of this trade, right? Is this trade a winner or a loss? But what I'm hearing from you is kind of the right approach from that perspective, where it's a loss, take the loss, book it, move on, take the next trade, right?
Right.
Don't get caught up in what you paid in the morning or yesterday or the trade you took before. It's always kind of looking forward and resetting it and just taking the next trade.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's it. And then like I said, the zones are so, and I'm very patient. I mean, I'll sit there for hours until it gets, I've quit. I think I told you this the other day. One of the things I used to think was if I'm not in, I'm losing money. I mean, this thing's moving. Why am I not in?
Hmm.
And that's the wrong approach. I mean, that's like, betting on just any football game because you want to have money on it. I mean, you got to have. So now I look at wait on the zones, wait on the right trade with your zones and the way I want the tick to look.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's a really good percentage to get in, get out, make my money. I'm just not interested in making. I don't care about just being in the market. I used to be. I'm not saying that's a few weeks ago. That's more a couple of years ago. I felt like that. I've got a lot more patience because I felt like I just wanted to be in. I felt
Hmm.
like the market's moving. And that was terrible.
Right.
You know,
So now you've gotten more selective, you're waiting for the zones, which means that automatically on every trade you take, you have good trade location. You're in from a good price.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think that's the most important thing. I think the trade location and being disciplined to get out and make that 2.5 points and being
Hmm.
happy with that and not worrying about where it goes is really like the quick little secret sauce of this last, few weeks.
Well, awesome. Hey, appreciate the insights, and you've had great success with it.